Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Season 5 of The Council. I am so happy to be here, back with some old and some newer friends that are rejoining the panel this week. Let's go first. Welcome, Kyle, back to the Council. Great to see you.
Hello, welcome. Hi. Good to be back.
And then, of course, the wonderful Constance,
Hello, everyone.
who's probably seen the Batman 17 times to date. We'll make sure to check in. And Natalia.
Hi.
We're very happy to be back here. First off, Constance, we do need to check in. How many times have you seen the
Close.
Batman?
You're close. 16.
You're very close.
Very nice. Very good. So, in honor of Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, which is opening this week in theaters, we decided to have a conversation about the Wizarding World. First, I think all of us are fans at some level of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, either with the books or the films or the expanded culture. At least we have an awareness of it. And as of late, Harry Potter has been the latest franchise and major work to be thrusted into the conversation of whether we can separate the art from the artist due to J.K. Rowling's very problematic comments on the trans community. So we're going to have a conversation about whether we can still like Harry Potter and then going into a discussion of some of our favorite moments. So I'm just going to start it off. I think for this discussion, we probably should just state, where are we in terms of this franchise? When did we get into it? Are you into it? Are you just a passerby who's just watching this woman implode in real time? What say you? I'll start with Constance.
Yes, I have read all the books. I have seen all the movies. I'm a casual fan, but I do love it. It's funny, when the books came out, I was in high school and I just heard on the news, oh, this book series that's getting kids to read. And I thought, oh, cool, it's getting kids to read. And I didn't give it another thought. But when the first movie came out, my mother, who never wants to see movies, was like, I want to go see that Harry Potter movie. And I was like, really? It's for kids. And we went, and I was surprised at how sophisticated and detailed it was. So it made me pick up the book. So I saw the first movie first and then read, only books 1 through 4 were out at the time. So I was in line at midnight in front of a bookstore for books 5, 6, and 7. So I joined the party late, like I always do. That's very me. So I like it a lot. I'm not following Fantastic Beasts. I know I saw the first one, but I don't remember it.
It has been 6 years, which is
but I only saw it once. So I need to see a movie twice before it's really in here.
Or
I did not see. It's Crimes of Grindelwald, right? That's the second one.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't. I think that came and went. And I just missed it. I didn't purposely avoid it. I just, it somehow got slipped by me. So, see, casual fan, not hardcore. But that's where I am with Harry Potter, the world. So.
Very cool. Natalia, what say you?
I am also kind of sort of pretty casual. I have seen all the movies. I read a chapter of a book. I don't remember which one it was. I liked the first Fantastic Beast because it was really cute. And then there was another one, and that was disgusting. And I was like, why do we even have a sequel? And I don't really have much of an interest to see the new one. What's this one called?
The Secrets of Dumbledore.
The Secrets of Dumbledore. Maybe he'll actually have a character in this film. And I don't really, I don't know if I want to see it. I don't think I'm going to see it. But Bryony saw it. And the only thing that I asked her when she went to go see it was how Mads was. And she said that he was essentially every single character that he always plays. And I was like, Evil Dane. Gotcha. So now I don't really have much of a need to see it anymore. So, yeah.
Very cool. All right, Kyle, take it away.
Okay, so I was just talking about this with Constance and Natalia before you joined Antony, but I'm way less of even a casual fan, I guess. I don't really want to get into it, but my growing up, I guess my
Are you a
parents...
Twilight stan, Kyle?
No. I have to. No, that's not where I was going. Growing up, I guess my parents are mega Christian, Republican.
No, we got you now. Okay.
So okay, to the extent where it's like Harry Potter's evil and like demonic. So so that was like never really a part of my childhood unless I went to like a friend's house and we would have like a Harry Potter marathon. But even then, that was like, I think I've only seen up to the movie where they're doing like the trials and Robert Pattinson's in it. Which one is that?
Okay.
Goblet of
That's
Fire.
like
The
the
fourth one.
fourth or fifth.
Halfway.
I actually like that one a lot, but I have like a very scattered memory of like the movies, and I think that's like the furthest that I got. So I didn't read the books. So yeah. I did when I was a kid though, I used to like draw a lot, and I of course designed our merch and everything. So I was really obsessed with like different art styles. So the little illustrations in the Harry Potter books, I don't know, I really like that. So I tried to like copy that stuff. I did that with like the Narnia books and everything. So that's another like connection I have to Harry Potter, but it's like still so disconnected at the same time. Again, I don't have a lot to say about it, but I guess that's my stance on Harry Potter. I have not seen any of the Fantastic Beasts movies. I live in
don't really
LA.
have to.
Yeah, I live in LA and I haven't even been to like the Harry Potter world. So I don't know what I'm doing, honestly. I don't know if I'm missing out. Like I feel like I am because everybody's like I feel like there's such a community of like Potterheads or whatever. I don't
It's a
know.
cool
Am I
theme
missing
park.
out?
It's a cool theme park.
It is.
Yeah. But just in general, I mean, like, is Harry Potter worth checking out for somebody who's not?
Well, I think what's interesting, because we are excusing Fantastic Beasts, because I do think it's very different from Harry Potter. I think even the Star Wars prequels felt more like Star Wars, and Fantastic Beasts feels like Harry Potter, at least to me. They definitely have their own independent identities. Harry Potter now, given that the books concluded in 2007, Deathly Hallows Part 2 concluded in 2011, so we've been almost more than a decade since new Harry Potter prime material. And what I think is interesting is that it has become one of these franchises, I think, like Star Wars, like Marvel, like DC, that like is just known. I feel like it's never left the cultural ether in a way. Like people just know it. And I think that's probably because it's a children's book, and so kids get into it. And I do know I work with youth theater, and kids still love Harry Potter. They're still reading it. They're still discovering it. And I think that's why this continues to be successful. So that's what I think is interesting, which is also why Fantastic Beasts is perplexing, because it seems to be more focused on the adult fans, or like the kids who are already grown up, where I feel like part of the appeal is the kids discovering Harry Potter. That's what made this franchise work. So it's definitely it's an interesting franchise to look at. Also because I think that it is one of the few that I feel like, depending on the person you ask, they have different opinions on what they think of the prime example of Harry Potter. Like if you ask me, I got into the movies first. So when I think of Harry Potter, I think of Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson. But a lot of people think of it as the books, where I feel like Middle Earth, I feel like nowadays more people see that as a film franchise. Dune, I think more people now see as a film franchise. Marvel, of course, these are more movies than comics. But I think Harry Potter has been able to maintain both, where it's both a book and a film franchise. So it's an interesting thing. So now we'll get into it. The question is on the table that we're going to try and answer. And whatever we answer will be the definitive answer. And the rest of the internet is just wrong.
Yeah.
And
Yep. It'll be law.
That's how it goes around here.
Yes. So basically, bluntly, can you separate the art from the artist? Because J.K. Rowling, her comments against the trans community, she has not backed down. She's not even remotely come close to apologizing, or it's not like she said these things and she has come to terms with what she said. She has continued to support her stance. And the question is, if you are a Harry Potter fan, if you are into this franchise, can you continue to be, if through your financial means of being a Harry Potter fan, you're supporting her to bolster her platform, and then therefore spew out this hate speech towards the trans community. And this is a very specific example because it's one of the most, I would feel she is probably the most well-known figure, and like in terms of like this specific creative environment, I would say probably like Woody Allen and Roman Polanski are probably her predecessors.
Those are the pedophiles. These are the TERFs.
Yes, yes.
Right.
So yeah, so basically, where do you guys align with this, and specifically with Harry Potter? Because I think that, you know, we're a movie and television podcast. We cover a lot of these things, and I think this is definitely a question I ask myself: is should I even go see this movie, even if I am a huge Harry Potter fan? Because I am, in a way, supporting her. So what say you?
Whoever wants to go first, it doesn't matter. She's unique. Normally, I think it's an easy answer for me where I would say, yes, I can separate because it takes a team to make these things happen. And I don't want to punish everyone else who's involved because a paycheck is a paycheck. She's a little different though, because she is so entrenched creatively. Like she's like, no, this is mine. And you're not doing anything without my okay, because I have this plan and it's got to go according to my plan. So it's harder. But since I do love the books more, and I bought them back in, 97, 2000, like, so it's so far in the past. She's not going to get more money necessarily, because I'm not in a hurry to see these newer movies. I'm not even in a hurry to see the stage production, because I've heard really mixed things about that as well.
As a like reading it as a story, it definitely has issues, but as an experience, it was fantastic. It was like there's like actual Dementors flying above you that are like the whole size of the stage. There's an underwater sequence that has real water. It's right. Definitely like it's a magical event. But yes, whenever, but yeah, but yeah. In 2030 whatever, when they make Harry Potter The Force Awakens, I hope that they do not do the cursed child plot. At least you can take some elements, like the Albus, Potter, Scorpius, Malfoy, the sons of each storyline, like that's their dynamic is good, but leave the time turners in the past. If you don't know, the whole plot of Cursed Child is basically a time machine. Like they go back in time to try and stop Robert Pattinson's death, and in so doing create like a weird different timeline, and it gets very confusing.
Of course.
Kind of what the fuck?
Yeah,
I would never have guessed that.
That's literally when you stop watching the movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a weird subplot, which, by the way, spoilers ahead for all of Harry Potter. There's a weird subplot in Cursed Child where it's revealed that Voldemort and Bellatrix, so that's Ralph Fiennes and Helena Bonham Carter's character, had a baby. And the baby was the villain, which is the same question that Rise of Skywalker posed. It's like, when are these villains in the middle of their tyranny just finding a quiet space and just getting to town and like perfecting their progeny? Like, when is this happening? It doesn't make sense. It makes as much sense as Ezra Miller being a Dumbledore, but that's neither here nor there. But so back to you, Constance. So yes, I would say Cursed Child as an experience is great, but as a story, it definitely needed some work.
So for me, the question is, okay, if I buy the merch, if I go to the show, whatever, is the problem she's getting a cut of that money? Or is the problem, like, let's say I wear a Harry Potter shirt and I'm out walking around wearing that. Is that me communicating to the world, I'm okay with what she says because I'm wearing her merch? You know what I mean? Like, whichever is the bigger offense is the thing I would try to shy away from, because I don't need her merch. I don't need a Harry Potter t-shirt or a bumper sticker on my car, So if to not support her by doing that is really, really good, well, then that's easy because I already don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So it's like, I wonder what's the bigger offense for people.
What would you see as the bigger offense? Like giving financially supporting her through the merch sales, or wearing a t-shirt that keeps it in the cultural context and therefore she benefits from that awareness? To you,
well, probably the bumper sticker t-shirt, because why do we have t-shirts and bumper stickers and all this that have just a quick little, we want our cars and our clothes to say something for us, like, this is how I feel. It's like, okay, I'm not a fan of clothing that is communicating anything. I like solid clothes, very generic. Like, no, I'm just here. I'm not trying to create waves or I'm not into lead, move, or get out of the way. I'm not into that. Like,
I'll ask this, and then I'll open it up to the rest of you. Do you have so my kind of stance on this is that, like, is Harry Potter, does she own Harry Potter? Because I know a lot of people, myself included, who kind of have the idea that, like, once a creator creates something and puts it out into the world, it's no longer theirs, and what the world does with it is completely independent. So if somebody took, you know, anything, any form of entertainment or any created work, and then twists it to represent them, like if there was like when we saw in like the mid 2010s when the three finger salute from the Hunger Games was being used in protests around the world, Suzanne Collins is not responsible for that. The people who read that work decided to do that of their own volition. And I, for one, wouldn't blame Suzanne Collins, because it's not like she was intending to incite like any protests around the world. Do you agree with that? Do you think that if anybody does anything with Harry Potter, that has nothing to do with J.K. Rowling? Or do you think because there's a financial connection that there's no way for you actually to live by those standards?
I agree with you, Antony. I think that, you know, once an artist or a creator or whatever, once they do, like, I mean, there's this saying, like, you know, once you write something down, you kind of like give it power, you make it real or whatever. Like, I think that's true. Like, once you, again, like once you put something out there, I would agree. It's like no longer yours. It's for other people. It's to share. It's to, you know, it's for other people to experience. So in that way, yeah, I think Harry Potter is so much bigger than J.K. Rowling. Like, I don't think that, like, you know, especially the hardcore Harry Potter fans, I would find it weird to think that there are some that like are Harry Potter fans and also like support what J.K. Rowling says publicly, but I'm sure they're out there, you know. But I would say that probably the majority of Harry Potter fans, like, they're not like standing by J.K. Rowling. They're like, you know, they think about how Harry Potter was like a big part of their childhood, and like, you know, all the fun they had with that, and, you know, playing with their friends or whatever. So yeah, I think Harry Potter as a franchise, as like just this entity, is so much bigger than J.K. Rowling itself. And I was thinking about too, like what Constance was saying. You know, I mean, personally, like, I'm not gonna go see. I probably will not buy a ticket for like any of the upcoming Harry Potter movies, like the Fantastic Beasts or whatever, unless they do like this Force Awakens version. When,
you know, it's
of course they're gonna do that, and I know that I'm gonna have to check that out, obviously.
Warner Brothers loves the sound of that, Kyle. I have to check that out.
Of course, and you know everybody's going to, and that's just, you know, that's exactly the marketing strategy. And so I mean, hopefully J.K. Rowling might not even be attached at that point.
That's the question that I'll pose to Kyle, and then I'll go to Natalia. Do you think, because I think it's inevitable. I think Harry Potter 9 will happen.
Yes.
It will, absolutely.
Like, because you go back to it, a lot of people forget this. When Deathly Hallows Part 2 came out, that was the highest grossing opening weekend of all time. The Avengers 1 year later beat it, but when it was released, it was one of the highest grossing movies. I think it actually peaked, it was number 3 worldwide underneath Titanic and Avatar, which is really funny to look back at. So it's definitely a huge brand. If they do make Harry Potter 9, I would imagine, and I would maybe assume Emma Watson would put this in her contract specifically, that J.K. Rowling cannot be involved. And it will be a George Lucas situation where they just say, we're going to cover it, J.K., here's your money, bye-byes. And then they make a trilogy or whatever. Do we think that's probably what will happen? And in that case, do you think, is that what you would want Warner Brothers to do? Or do you think that it won't change anything? She's still making money off of Harry Potter.
Yes and no. You know?
I mean, like, I don't know what exactly the legal kind of, I mean, I don't know, how does that work in terms of J.K. Rowling? Like, can they move on without her, or does she have like a, you know, a legal obligation or like ownership, you know, that they can't, I don't know like how that works. So I think it, you know, if it were like if it were less complicated, I think the obvious move would be to move on without her. But I don't know what's holding her onto this franchise or what's keeping her there.
It has made her buckets and buckets and absolute buckets of money.
Well, yes.
And she would like to keep it that way. And she would like to use this beautiful franchise that she has made to continue to spout her turfdom.
Yeah, but if they can, I don't want to start an argument here, but if they can like fire Johnny Depp, then why can't they, get rid of J.K. Rowling?
Well, I think because even like she obviously wrote all the 7 books and then was a producer, especially I think as the movies went on, she was more involved in the making of those movies. So that's one thing. Fantastic Beasts, she has written all of them to varying degrees. She wrote the first 2 outright, and I think she wrote a draft of this screenplay for the 3rd one that then they brought on the old Harry Potter screenwriter to do revisions after the mixed reaction of 2. So she is Harry Potter, I think even more so than like George Lucas's Star Wars to this point. Like there has not been a Harry Potter thing that has been officially released that she has not had a hand in directly or given her approval. So I think that's where we're in an interesting spot where, especially now, because like, there are so many people who are just as defined by Harry Potter and their work for it as she is, in a way. I think Dan Arac, that main trio, I mean, their careers are because of Harry Potter, and their dedication to it is immeasurable. I mean, I think
until that Weird Al movie comes out, and then that's what Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, then he'll take off. But like even so, like remember when Beauty and the Beast came out, and that was like a $1.2 billion grossing movie, and it was still that, oh my God, Hermione is Belle. So I think she definitely. There's a lot more people who are defined by this professionally, and so I do think that there will come a time, especially because when people like this pass away, there is a certain clause that legally they can continue to make works based on their copyrighted material. So I'm sure there is a way that they can move on without her, and I'm sure it would probably be in her best interest. The real question is how much longer she's able to do this, like get away with this behavior at a professional level. I mean, eventually I could see a world where, like what happened with Roseanne Barr at ABC, where they just said, listen, this is an offensive tweet and this is in line with our company's standards. I see a potential that could be J.K. Rowling's fate, especially if they're going to bring everybody back. And I don't know. I feel like Harry Potter fans, I would be interested to see if they announced Harry Potter 9 and we're bringing back all the cast members, but she is not going to be involved, if there would be a sort of like, then it becomes this like, whose side are you on type of thing.
That sounds stupid.
Yeah.
I
the
will
world
just
is stupid, Natalia. So
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I will just say on that note, as like a person who also, writes things and like wants to like create things, I think that is kind of, obviously I don't support JK, but I think that is kind of again, as like a creator, I think that is kind of like that makes me feel good that she has such an ownership, even though she's like totally destroyed her entire reputation, that she can still hold on to this franchise. And like, I don't know. Again, like that's obviously like a very loaded thing to say, but
well, also because I think we are having I think nowadays we're trying to field how to discuss people's work and like praise them for what they've done creatively while
not supporting the things that they're saying.
Because every time I talk about the first 2 Avengers movies, I think, listen, the Avengers in 2012 changed Hollywood forever, and Avengers Age of Ultron is the reason I'm an MCU fan. So obviously I owe something to Joss Whedon. It's very difficult to have those conversations because he's a dirtbag
some little dick in the comments like
who was responsible for one of the most morally abhorrent productions in the history of film. So like I think that's difficult, where like how do I praise the man for his work on those movies, but also like I feel like I have to put a disclaimer every time I talk about Joss Whedon now. So like, because J.K. Rowling, it should not be understated that Harry Potter is so brilliant in how she conceived of this world, the world building, but also maturing with your audience. And the books and the movies getting darker as the kids get older. And also, I think one of the most understated, brilliant things she ever did was in your last book, right as everything is escalating and you're about to hit your epic finale, it stops dead, and half the book is just the three characters talking to each other, and with the camping scenes. Which, Kyle, if you don't know, the Deathly Hallows is about 700 pages, and the first like 400 are just our main trio camping and trying to hunt for these Horcruxes, which is like the Infinity Stones. They're trying to find them all to kill the villain. And when they split the two movies into two parts, the last one into two parts, the first part is literally just the camping scenes. There's like one action scene. And I love that because it allows these characters, both, within the world, but I think these three actors, to reflect on the decade that they made these movies. So there were definitely a lot of smart things she did. And you're right, it's hard to then, it's like, I feel like you have to say, by the way, I don't support J.K. Rowling, but I really love her work. Constance, I'm interested because you brought up the difference between books and films. If she released a new book in the Harry Potter universe, where would your mind go in distinguishing that? Because I do agree with you. With movies, there are thousands of people who work on them, and if they're not like in the text supporting the person's stance, like I have a problem with Woody Allen movies where has characters who are underage, and he's kind of showing that, hey, it's okay to date an underage girl, given what we know about him and his daughter. Like that you can't separate the art from the artist because he's trying to use his art to support his accused behavior. But Harry Potter is not that way. So if it was a book, right, what say you? Are you going to buy that book?
Right. Well, this is harder because I do think of her as an author first, not a screenwriter, not a movie producer. Your first question, I have two things about, if they were to make Harry Potter 9, is there a way for her to not be creatively involved and she just gets, I don't know if residual check is the right term. It's like, what if she still gets a cut because it's her IP, but she's not actually in the room making those executive decisions?
I imagine that's possible. Would that be a solve for you? Would that solve this situation?
That would solve the movie.
Do you think Emma Watson works on Harry Potter 9 if that's the agreement? I'm saying Emma Watson because I think most of us saw her BAFTA comment.
And she's like the most vocal about it out of the trio.
Yeah.
What did she say, by the way?
At the BAFTAs, she came out to present. She came to present Belfast Best British Film, so she got to have a mini reunion with Kenneth Branagh after Chamber of Secrets, who played Lockhart. And when she came out, she was introduced, and she said, "I'm here for all the witches," because she was introduced as, "We all know she's a witch. Please welcome Emma Watson." And that was basically saying, like, "I'm here for all of you, no matter you're trans, gay, straight." So many people read that as a very smart dig at J.K. Rowling. And she, when these comments started to surface in a real way, I think Radcliffe, I think all of them came out and said that this was against her. But Emma Watson has kind of made her career be also part actress and part humanitarian and feminist. So that's why I'm saying, would Emma Watson do it? Because I do think I feel like she's the hardest one to nail. Like, if they get her, they have the movie. I think Daniel Radcliffe will do it, and I think Rupert Grint will do it. But Watson will be the one that they need to nail down. She's the Harrison Ford of this trio. Right. I'll say that.
And the other thing is they've lost so many of the original actors from the franchise. We're losing more and more of them all the time. You got to think, now that Hollywood's slowly but surely catching up, what if they want to cast a trans actor? They shouldn't feel alienated.
That'd be the best dig at JK ever, and I'd be so here for
it. That's gonna happen. I think they will cast a trans actor.
So we gotta talk about this from their comfort level. So the other thing I'm curious about, I wonder, maybe JK doesn't need control. So for those of you who don't know about the final book, there's an epilogue that's how far in the future?
19 years.
Okay, I knew you would know.
Jesus Christ.
Which means if they're gonna follow it, that's 2030 for Harry Potter 9. Because that's 19 years after 2011's Deathly Hallows Part 2.
So see, I have a theory. I bet you we could convince JK to step aside if her stipulation is, as long as you get to that place, or like, let's say they're going to do something that is between the end of the book and that epilogue, as long as they end up there, or if you do something past that, I think she would be okay with letting go, because I think that's why she put that there, so that you couldn't change the outcome, because at the time she was like, this is the outcome that's going to happen later. So I think as long as that was intact, maybe we can convince her to say, okay, maybe I'm not holding
log. We'll pay you some money. Get out.
Right.
I think that's the George Lucas trajectory is where I think we're headed. Because I do think that Fantastic Beasts, it's fine. I don't think anybody has a strong. I mean, maybe whoever's listening, you're just ride or die for Newt Scamander. But I feel like the majority of
So
people
cute.
are like, you just lemon march into the theater, you watch it, and you're like, it's Harry Potter adjacent. I guess I'll go if you're gonna go. Harry Potter, I think, is different, and I think
Right.
it means a lot more. And so these conversations, I think, will be had if they want to do it. Natalia, do you think that because of these conversations, Warner Brothers might not do it, or are they just going to be greedy for money and they're just going to weather the storm? I think I know your answer, but I'm going to pose it to you anyway.
Yep. That's.
I wish somebody was captioning your last response there.
Por el capitalismo. God, I don't know. I mean, I do know, but like, this is what's so irritating about this franchise, is that she is still. I mean, I feel like with the Fantastic Beasts parts, because this is the movie that's coming out next week or whatever, it feels a bit more. It doesn't feel as attached to her than the past ones, obviously, than the past Harry Potter films. But I'm still not really gonna watch it, mainly because I didn't love the second one, and I'm just kind of bored with it because it's been forever. But yeah, I don't know. It's harder for me to. I don't have any. What am I even trying to say? Hello, words.
Well, here
I can tell you.
Yeah.
I may be able to help you out with something that I think is interesting that it goes into this discussion. I just looked up. J.K. Rowling did go to the premiere for Fantastic Beasts 3. She was not specifically interviewed for the Harry Potter reunion on HBO Max. They used clips of her, but they were clips from 2019 interview. So that may answer a question that for Harry Potter, they're going to keep her, they're going to preserve the brand.
Okay.
Fantastic Beasts is a different thing.
Okay. That makes sense, I guess, to an extent. I don't know. It does. But I don't want to say it's difficult, because it really is in a very difficult situation, at least for me personally. I've lost interest in the franchises. So for me, it's okay for me not to watch them. If anything, I'm just going to watch it illegally, as we all do. So, sorry.
Or support used. Like, if you're going to buy the books, buy them used. I heard
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that too. You can, like, if you are like just getting into it now, like if I were to do that, then I would be conscious to like try to do that, because I know my money wouldn't be going towards her.
Or support, like, there are so many fans who have done their own like artwork or material. Like, seek them out if you want to celebrate it.
Yeah.
Like, celebrate those people instead of
The
celebrating.
community is a wonderful
The
community.
community is the best part. The person that created it, not so much.
But did anybody see the tweet of when Daniel Radcliffe was asked about the Will Smith incident? And he said,
Oh, yeah.
I really
Hilarious.
think that there's been a lot of opinions, and I think it's best if we move on. And somebody was like, how is it that that 3 children who should have been the biggest a-holes on the planet due to the world that they grew up in are 3 of the nicest, most respectful people in Hollywood of all time, but the author is the asshat? Like, I just thought that was really funny. And
that is really interesting. That is very interesting. I wonder if Harry Potter was like an American franchise. I wonder if they would have ended up, I don't know, like, I wonder if they would have ended up like being really shitty people.
Well, if you watch the
In
reunion,
an alternate universe.
if you watch the reunion, they definitely talk about how they really wanted to preserve the kids and their experience. And Chris Columbus really, I mean, props to him, not only for starting it off with the first 2 Harry Potter movies, but he really, I think, allowed those kids to feel comfortable on set. And I mean, I think we talked about it on like a past couple seasons ago on this show, but I really do give them credit, because I think for those 3 kids, it's such a gamble, and they had to have such maturity. And it's like we've talked about, like, you know, the Beatles or the Friends cast. Like, there are moments when like nobody else knows what you're going through, and it's just so uber popular. But like, they were kids having to do that, and they matured into, I think, consensus. I think they're pretty good actors, and I think they obviously got better as the movies went on. And you know, it was a
they're good people.
challenge. and they're good
What's-
people, and I think that's
What's
the
going
other.
on with Rupert Grint? What's he
Um,
doing?
He's
he
on
did
M.
that
Night Shyamalan.
Apple TV show.
Yeah, he's on an M. Night Shyamalan Apple TV
Oh,
Plus
good.
show, Servant. He's done some plays and theatrical work. So
Good.
he's
Good for
working.
him.
He's working. So
But yeah, I mean, I think that just goes like back to my point. I think those three, they are the face of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's not J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, I just wanted to echo that. I think people think of what they love about Harry Potter, not the shitty things. So,
yeah, and then we can wrap this conversation up and then get into the second part of our episode. My whole thing with this is that I think Harry Potter, like the ideology of Harry Potter is so different than her ideology.
Yeah.
And like she had such an understanding of bigotry and racism. She was so like
Her
astute in her understanding
pen
of it.
name.
Well,
Her pseudonym was
but she had such an understanding of bigotry that she was able to dumb it down for children. The whole Mudblood arc in the Chamber of Secrets, where Draco Malfoy calls Hermione Granger, who's Muggle-born, who's human-born, not wizard-born. He calls her a Mudblood to try and it's a slur basically for non-wizard parents and a non-wizard family. Like she was able to dumb down bigotry for children, and yet she doesn't understand this. And like Harry Potter's all about all these different races and magical creatures coming together to stop.
but with
pure
also pretty
blood
offensive names.
hatred. So like that's where I feel like Harry Potter is so like the opposite of her ideology as a person that I'm completely fine maintaining Harry Potter and finding ways, just being a conscious fan of buying the used books, or I mean, AMC covers all my tickets because I'm on A-list, so I feel fine, going to the movie. But yeah, so in the end, I feel like we've come to a consensus. And granted, this is not a general consensus. I know one of our favorite listeners and fans, Isaac, has said that he's not going to go see Fantastic Beasts 3 because he just feels he can't support the film. And that's completely fine. If you feel that you have to detach yourself from Harry Potter and that's a sacrifice you're willing to make, then power to you. I just think that for the few of us who maybe want to still be connected to it and beyond, if there's other works that we feel we want to still be connected to, despite some of the artists, problematic stances, that's what we wanted to have this conversation for, was kind of talk this through, because it's a multifaceted conversation, as you can all see. Any last comments before we
I
move
don't
on?
know if I'm on like the Isaac train, but like I don't, because like J.K. Rowling is J.K. Rowling, but also like I don't want to say like bored, but like I don't have really any interest in watching and interacting with this IP anymore, because I feel like I've kind of just like grown out of it. So
again,
unless
but like, yeah, if they come back, if they do a reunion,
if they do a
are you not
reunion,
going to check that out?
I really don't know, because I really wasn't even like that deep into the mythos. So
Yeah. I mean, that was my point too. I wasn't either, but like I would just be so curious that I think I would just have to see it,
I'll wait until like they put it out, and then all of Twitter will show me, and I'll just find everything where they talk about J.K. Rowling, then I'll be out.
Yes, but when we're in the council season 27 and we are going to review the movie. So on that note, I think we'll move into a conversation of some of our favorite moments, given that we kind of have the opinion that we can still like Harry Potter. Even, we can still like the past of Harry Potter.
Yes.
Is definitely.
Yes.
You can still, I think memory-wise, you can still enjoy your memories. And so I know that we have a range of Potterheads. We have some who are very stopped after the fourth movie. We have some who've read all the books, and then we have me, who is just crazy. I once was in Universal. I think I was 11 years old or 10 years old, and because of how I looked, like there was families who stopped me thinking I was working for the park, and they said, "Can we have your picture?" Like they thought I was Harry Potter.
I can see that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was wearing the shirt. I mean, I was wearing his Quidditch jersey, but it was very funny. Just like my handlers were my mom and dad walking me through the park. We could have probably paid for the ticket to see the park with the amount of people that stopped, but it was very fun. So I'll pose it to, let's go with Constance, because I think she probably is the most Potter-headed of the
Yeah.
panels, other than me. What favorite memory, favorite moment, book, movie? Have at it. When I say Harry Potter, where does your mind go to?
Okay. I went with when I prepped, I was like, oh, we're gonna talk about movies. And I wanted to focus on moments that are not in the books, that since we're a movie podcast, I was like, oh, well, what do the movies do that either the books can't, or because it was really good casting, it just like, really landed. So I love Alan Rickman as Snape. When he first comes in and he does the whole "I can teach you how to bewitch the mind and snare," all that.
And snare.
That Yes, that line delivery is so good, and just little things he does, like his little mannerisms. I forget which movie it is, but it's when everyone's
BST.
talking and he keeps hitting them, and then
That's
he gets
four. That's four.
okay. So when he gets annoyed and he does the little like, just his little, or like when Hermione hands him her book and he just goes, like it should have a sound effect, like like.
Clearly, fame isn't everything. If
Exactly.
you need to know how to enunciate, Alan Rickman is Snape.
An icon for sure.
And I don't know about you, Constance, but listen, I love Christopher Plummer, and I think he won an Oscar in 2012 for his role in Beginners for Best Supporting Actor. But I think Alan Rickman at least deserved a nomination for that last performance. It's so moving, and I think, especially to like completely shift how you think of that character. And that is something I think the movies did extraordinarily well. Is Alan Rickman's is really understanding the Snape character. I agree. It's a beautiful, heartbreaking performance.
Does he end up getting like redeemed towards the end?
So what it's revealed, so he gets killed by Voldemort, and so Dumbledore, which is our Yoda figure, Dumbledore, I'm assuming. This is very fun. I get to catch people up. Dumbledore is killed by Snape in the end of the 6th book, and that's kind of your cliffhanger.
Right.
The 7th book, obviously Snape is awful. He killed Dumbledore, and it's revealed that he was a double agent. Dumbledore asked Snape to kill him so that he could prove his loyalty to Voldemort and try to stop him from the inside. And we find out that Voldemort fell in love as a child with Harry Potter's mother. And because of how everything went and that he was a Slytherin, that it was a love that couldn't be. And then, of course, she dies. The books start with Harry's parents dying, and he's just heartbroken. And we realize that it was this dual thing of being so angry because Harry Potter's existence is because there was a love between the woman he loved and somebody, his school bully. So obviously Harry is representative of all the things that he didn't get, but at the same time, it's Lily Potter's it's
child.
So it's how they play that in the last book, in the last movie. It's so touching, and Alan Rickman just really that's the type of thing that you would question. Like, you abused this child for like a decade, but like when you get to the end of it, and Harry's naming his son after Severus Snape, and you're just it's perfect. And so
Right.
As far as redemption arcs go, I think it's one of the better ones. I would say, but I agree, Constance. Alan Rickman is terrific.
Yeah. And also, I mean, what I also love about the movies is it's a great who's who in terms of British actors. Like, if you're a great British actor and you're not in Harry Potter, there's something wrong, because they really got all of them.
Yeah.
Also,
So-
if you're a redhead and you're not in Harry Potter, there's something wrong.
That was your time to shine. That was your window. And if you
Yeah.
missed it, sorry.
Right. So, Snape is one, but also a lot of Goblet of Fire. I don't love the movie so much, but my memories of it are great because it's the first one I went with like a group of friends. And there's so many comedic bits because it's like the puberty one where there's so many moments where they are so awkward. Like, oh, why do the girls have to travel in packs? And, like they're all awkward, and Ron dancing with McGonagall. I mean, all that stuff is just gold, because I think, once you go through puberty, you can watch that movie and be like, yes, that's add the magic, but that's how it is, so
Well, because
it's nice to have that visual.
And it grounded, I think, a lot of the spectacle. You cared more about all of the journeys because they were kids, and like they were dealing with crushes and school fights. And I think that partly is it's the equivalent to Iron Man in the cave for the first 45 minutes. Like, you love the person, and so when they're fighting dragons, you buy it. It's not
Right.
It's not all spectacle too, which is Goblet of Fire definitely has a lot of those
Right.
moments.
Yeah.
Definitely. It also is the one with the weirdest, like Ron's hair in that one.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's very shaggy.
It's the equivalent of Courtney Cox in Scream 3.
Right. That's a very good analogy. My last one, because I do respect the craft. I know the 2001 movie is a little cringe CGI wise, but it was 2001. But by the time you get to Deathly Hallows, I really like how they visualize the story of the three brothers, like artistically.
Oh, yeah.
So to see where, like, this is how it started, but this is where it ended, I'm like, that's not a bad progression of showing how the journey of special effects over those 10 years. So those are where my brain goes first, those kinds of things.
Kyle, just to keep you in the loop here, when they tell the story of what the Deathly Hallows were in this penultimate film, they do it in an animation, and they do it in this animation style. So
it's so cool.
It's very.
Oh, that's great.
It's very lovely. Check that scene out if you want to. It's lovely. So you mentioned that Alan Rickman is Alan Rickman your favorite performance of all the movies? Would you say?
Ooh. Oh, there's so many. I mean, Maggie Smith is, oh my gosh, like there's so many. I know a lot of people don't like Kenneth Branagh, but I think he's great as Lockhart. I don't know where that hate's coming from.
Hilarious. He had a grand old time with his little capes.
Yeah, and Emma Thompson as
Professor Trelawney.
Oh, yes. Trelawney.
Yes, I mean, I love her, because when I read it, I really pictured like an owl or like a bird kind of woman, just the way she looked.
Like
oh my
glasses.
God, British royalty in this movie, they're all so good. But yes, I do have a very soft spot in my heart for Alan Rickman. So just because we spend so much time with Snape, it's not like, it's not. I love Remus as a character, but since he's not in every single story, I'm not as connected to him.
Well, like Gary Oldman too, like it's a smaller part, but I think every character, I think this, it's funny because we talk about like in a post MCU world where like you need to establish them all before teaming them up. Well, that wasn't the case here. Like they were, all 8 of these movies are essentially team up movies, save for Deathly Hallows Part 1 because it's just the 3 of them, basically. But still, like everybody knew what to do at all times, and like Gary Oldman, like. He's introduced in the 3rd and killed in the 5th, and he's not really in the 4th, but you somehow still care for him. And I think there's a lot of efficiency in the storytelling, especially in the adaptation.
Yeah.
So do you have a favorite quote? And then we'll move on to Natalia. Because they also had a lot of funny quotes.
Quote? Oh gosh, I'll probably think of one. If you want to talk about a single moment, like I didn't want to go for obvious things, but here's my one obvious one. My favorite singular, like just a moment in time, is the moment with Neville and the sword and the snake. Because I am Neville, I identify with him very, very much. So when that moment happens, it's just like, like, oh, so good. So that's a singular moment that I just love.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I feel you. It's time for us like little dweeby kids to shine for a minute. So yes.
So Natalia, I'll throw it to you if you have any favorites moments of the past, but also I'll throw to you a question of Harry Potter was kind of the first franchise to do this, splitting the final chapter into 2 movies. I think it totally benefits this story and makes sense, but that of course started a norm where it led to Divergent splitting into 2 chapters and we never getting the second part of that movie. So
that's right.
Yeah, Ascendant was never released. So again, you can talk about your opinions and then also talk about like, what do you think about the splitting of 2? Did it work for you? And do you how it's affected, I mean, down to Infinity War and Endgame, I think are modeled after Deathly Hallows.
Helena Bonham Carter, Helen McCrory. Of course. These are the only people that I have to shout out because duh. Helena Bonham Carter because she's evil and sexy. Helen McCrory because she turned around and said dead. And chills. She was superior as Narcissa. We got so little of her, but like whenever she was there, I was like, she's gonna tear this shit up. And she did. She ate every single scene that she was in. And that one thing, the bonding with
The Unbreakable Vow.
The Unbreakable Vow with Severus and Helena and Severus, Bellatrix, and Narcissa. Like, those are some powerful ass actors all in one scene. And I felt like she really I felt like she owned that scene completely because it was just like her care as a mother in that. I was like, oh, it's amazing. I One of my favorite, like, more funny scenes was obviously in Gringotts when Hermione took the polyjuice to be Bellatrix, and that just looked like it was just so much fun.
Which
every
again,
single time I
Helena
watched
Bonham Carter, the range
Just-
she has.
superior. You love to see it.
Yeah.
What else? I don't know.
I mean, as far as like humor goes,
Mhm.
which again, I think humor-wise, they were very apt. Like a joke never feels out of place. I've quoted Ron Weasley in the last movie where he says, "If we die for them, Harry, I'm gonna kill you," like multiple times. Like that is a great line. I mean, there's a lot of really fun moments. I mean, I think one of the best ones, one of the earlier ones, is when Harry Potter's about to fly on the broomstick for the first time, and Hermione goes, "No, Harry, you can't. You'll get expelled, and besides, you don't even know how to fly yet." And he goes off, and she just goes, "What an idiot!"
Yeah,
It's really great,
iconic.
iconic.
I thought of my quote. I thought of it.
All right, back to Constance.
When in the forest, when Umbridge is taken away by the centaurs, and she says, "Tell them I mean them no harm," and he's all like, "I'm sorry, Professor. I must not
Mustn't
tell
tell a lie.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good quote because the comeuppance is wonderful. And to go with that, I'm like, oh, I remember another moment. Again, this is a movie thing. I love the visual thing how McGonagall and Umbridge are on the stairs and they're trying to show dominance by going up the stairs. Because you can't do that in a book. So this is, talk about movie language. That's a wonderful, whoever thought of that, great, good job. This is why we want the movie adaptation for the bits like that. Yeah.
Well, like even like Half-Blood Prince, I actually think that movie.
I love Half-Blood Prince. That is my favorite movie.
I love the book because I love the tonal approach and just all of the background we get on the villain. But the movie is very different in terms of what it prioritizes because these are long books. And I think the movie works because for non-Potterheads, this is a very unpopular opinion. A lot of people do not like the Half-Blood Prince movie in the Harry Potter fandom. But I love it. And I think the cinematography, where it's very drained and very natural, like it's showing you the life that's being sucked out of the wizarding world because of what's happening. So there's a lot of really smart choices. I mean, you have one of the greatest.
The visual consequences to your actions.
And also, like, you have one of the greatest filmmakers alive who worked on this franchise with Alfonso Cuarón. So, like, all the Prisoner of Azkaban, I just saw it in theaters 2 days ago because they're putting them all back for Fantastic Beasts at the Cinemarks. I'm seeing Deathly Hallows in a couple days, and just seeing that on the big screen, it's just how he crafted that movie. He's a true visionary.
So people really don't like Half-Blood Prince the movie? Really?
Within the Harry Potter fandom, it's a very divisive film.
That's interesting.
It's very
Fascinating.
different. It's very different.
Because that's my favorite, and I'm not really into the whole things of it.
That's interesting because it has one of Daniel Radcliffe's, he's actually very funny, but when he drinks that liquid luck and he does the little
that-
Which even he said I think he said that's his least favorite performance that he ever gave in any of those movies. But I'm like, it's so good, especially when
iconic.
Yeah. It's very surprising how perplexing those movies are.
Yeah. Anthony, I would like to answer your question on the double parter, on the two-parter.
Yes.
And
then Kyle, you can as well.
I feel like with this franchise in particular, it really worked because we have the great breather that is Deathly Hallows Part 1, and then the amazing culmination of everything, of all of the decades of everything in Part 2. As for what we've now ended up with in our current movie landscape of finales now being Part 2s, it's so weird because, like, if you take like Hunger Games Part 1 and Part 2, every single time I rewatch those, I'm like, it feels like it should have been separated. Like, those two work.
Oh, really?
I feel, yeah.
I
don't know.
I
feel like whenever I rewatch them, I'm always like, I watch them in such close contact that, like, I don't really feel the separation. So
that could be too. Yeah. I love Part 2. I used to love Part 1. I think Part 1 definitely feels like filler, but Part 2 kind of justifies that they should be 2 parts. So it's interesting. Like
Yeah.
the second part justifies that. All right, I'll take the filler, but I still think a great 3-hour movie could have been made of Mockingjay.
Because I usually watch them in such close succession, I mostly just think of part 1 as like not such a great start point, but part 2 is like, yeah, this is good. This is it.
Yeah.
It's just so difficult because like you don't know how you're gonna like gauge this at any of these like massive IPs that are gonna end up possibly having part 2 finales or not. Cough cough Divergent. Because that one
Or The Hobbit,
or The Hobbit.
They did 3. I think Hobbit should have been 2, but they did 3 for The Hobbit, which is what Guillermo del Toro wanted to do when he was going to make these movies.
2 or 3?
He was going to do 2, but then when Peter Jackson came on, he then did 3.
Peter. No.
I mean, each one of those movies made on average just shy of $1 billion. So like, it's like they were just coughing up money with those.
Yeah.
The Hobbit movies?
Hobbit 1 made more than $1 billion, and then Desolation of Smaug and Battle of the 5 Armies both made like north of like 950 million worldwide.
That sounds fake.
I'll pull it up if you don't believe. Are you questioning the
Not your brain.
box
Not your
office
brain.
mind?
I'm questioning. I don't know. I was
Yeah,
never
that's
into
just.
it.
Yeah, I thought that was like more. I didn't know that they were as popular.
Yeah.
I love Lord of the Rings, like the original franchise, but I didn't give any of my time towards the Hobbit movies at all.
We Hobbit adjacent tangent. In middle school, we read the book. We read The Hobbit, and then it was like right as the movie came out, so we watched it, and then we were all thoroughly disappointed because it didn't stick to the book.
Well, my thing is like they started to usher The Hobbit out of schooling when the movie came out. I'm like, no, keep it in because the movie is so freaking different that you'll find out if they start talking about Azog and like all of the stupid BS that they like chose to fill them, like start talking about Tariel, Evangeline Lilly's character. Like teachers have finally a clear example of did you just watch the movie to do the essay or not? Like they should have kept it. I'm trying to pull up, let's see. Battle of 5 Armies made $962 million worldwide. And that was in 2014. And Desolation of Smaug, or Smaug, Smoag, made $958 million worldwide. With
Way to go, Benedict.
And Unexpected Journey making $1,017,000,000. So yeah, very successful films.
Interesting.
Will we see a Lord of the Rings: The Force Awakens? I don't think
Well,
so.
they're
Amazon.
making the Amazon.
They're
TV.
making the show.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for that.
Also, it should be noted, and then we'll get back to Harry Potter. Viggo Mortensen was asked to be in The Hobbit and cameo, and he said no.
Who?
Viggo Mortensen.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I'm glad he said no.
Orlando Bloom, come on, why didn't you just?
He was fine.
But did he come back?
He came back for 2 of them. He was in
no!
Desolation of Smaug and Battle of 5 Armies. Yeah. So Kyle, I'll throw to you. Do you have any memories or anything that you liked? Anything that is there anything that through us talking about you're interested to check out?
Well, I mean, I think just during this discussion, I kind of realized that I definitely did have like. I was thinking one of our favorite YouTubers likes to say like everybody goes through like an ancient Egypt phase or like a and I was just thinking about that. I was like, I definitely went through like a Harry Potter phase.
But you didn't stick with
Friend's
it.
house, right?
Yeah,
Friend's house.
no, yeah, exactly. And it was I think I just get like hyper fixated on stuff like that. So I'll be really into it for maybe like, a short amount of time and then I'll just move on to whatever else. But I definitely had that for Harry Potter. And I was like, I mean, I remember like playing video games and I don't know, there was like some PC game and it was like really fun. It was very like interactive for the time too. I thought it was like this great game I've never seen before. It was like open world
Lego Harry Potter years 1 through 4 on the Nintendo DS.
No, I don't know what it was. It was on the PC, but it was like, I don't know, for some reason it was like really groundbreaking at the time for me. So I love that. I was really into like the Harry Potter Legos. I had a lot of those for some reason. And then yeah, like even the movies, like I think, how we were talking about like how it kind of set the precedent for the splitting things into two, and that kind of set for other franchises going forward. I think it also kind of blazed a trail for a lot of these like fantastical franchises, and just as a reference, I guess, what works, because I think a lot of Harry Potter works. Obviously it's been able to survive this long, and just like the visuals like that I can remember from the first few films, like what is it, nearly headless whatever,
Nearly Headless Nick.
Nearly Headless Nick, like I'm never gonna forget like something like that. And that's or Moaning Myrtle or whatever in the bathroom, and then the troll comes in and everything. Like that's just like, I don't know, just as a kid, like that was like really scary. And now I just like, it just makes me feel like really nostalgic, even though I don't have like such a connection to Harry Potter. Like I do like those like little bits of memory that I do have from it. And even Goblet of Fire, that's the one with Robert Pattinson, and they're I would agree. I do like that. Again, like I think that was the last movie I had fully seen, but that would probably be my favorite out of what I had seen. Because like Constance, did you say it was like a puberty movie?
Yes.
Yeah, that's when they're like, they're
Lady Bird and Goblet of Fire. 8th grade.
I would agree. And I don't know. I think just as a kid, I don't know if this is my experience, but like you would consume content that was like about high school or whatever, and you just kind of like fantasize about what that's supposed to be like. So I think I got that in the Harry Potter world with that movie, so that was cool at the time. I don't know how old I was. I was probably like 10 or something when that came out, but like that, I don't know. And even like I thought the mermaids in that movie were so creepy.
Yes.
I loved it. Like
a lot of original design work.
Exactly. So that's what exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like it's done so much in terms of just visuals and just creating like the magical world template or whatever, and then
the werewolf in Prisoner of Azkaban is so original. Like it doesn't look like, I'll bring it up to jog the memory of anybody.
Oh yes, please.
But like it so doesn't look like your typical Hollywood werewolf. And like I think that's also like, it does feel very distinct, and it is very influential. Like I don't know if we necessarily get Game of Thrones if fantasy wasn't successful with Harry Potter. I think it definitely paved the way. And also like I recently read the official Marvel Studios.
Oh, that's right. He's a lanky little man.
Yeah.
That's great. That's very creepy and like
very creepy.
Yeah.
I read the Marvel Studios. It's called The Story of Marvel Studios, and it's basically their official biography that like everybody is interviewed in the book, and they talk about that. Like Harry Potter was a roadmap. Like how they crafted that and executed it definitely was influential, and I think definitely preceded. I don't think they get the credit now because we're in Fantastic Beasts land, but I don't think you have Infinity War and Endgame and the highest grossing movie of all time without Harry Potter. I think it definitely led the way. Because before then it was trilogies and Bond, but Bond had stops and starts. So as far as the longevity and continuity, it was definitely, I would probably say, the first one to actually be that. I mean, the fact, like, I know there's been rumors, but I don't think we'll ever see different actors cinematically play that trio. I can't imagine them saying, now welcome Woody Norman as Harry and McKenna Grace as Hermione Granger. Like, I can't imagine them like doing this again, like remaking. I think like Lord of the Rings now is definitive. Wizard of Oz is definitive. I think Iron Man, like, I don't think we'll ever see like Tony Stark get another origin movie. Like, I feel like, and I think Harry Potter is the same way. I think it's a definitive work at this point.
And everyone, thank you so much for sticking around for Antony to tie everything back to Marvel.
You knew it had to happen. Drink.
Gonna get her.
Everyone take a shot.
I'll just give my quick kind of favorite things. I've been talking about everybody else's, but I mean, I got into these right at the tail end. Sorry, Constance, I wasn't born when Sorcerer's Stone came out in theaters.
Okay.
I was born, I think, 2 months later.
When did it come out?
It came out November of 2001. And then Fellowship of the Ring came out 1 month later.
Wait, how old?
You're a child. I always
Anthony, how
forget
old are
that.
you? Wait, how old are you?
20. I was born in 2002.
Okay.
Sorry.
Don't
But
be
yeah,
sorry.
I
You
got
have no
into-
control over when you're
That
born.
really good.
but I was 8 when I was gifted the first 6 movies and all 7 books for Christmas. And it was right after Deathly Hallows Part 1 came out. So my dad and I sped through all 6 movies. We went to go see Deathly Hallows Part 1 in theaters. We were the only people in the theater except another person who slept through it behind us.
Nice.
And I remember like coming out of that movie so pissed off at Bellatrix Lestrange because of the whole torturing Hermione scene where she like basically like Kyle, she's like gnaws mudblood with her teeth into her skin. And it's somebody who
Yeah.
still has a crush on Emma Watson. That was a very formative, I feel like every kid, many kids born between 1988 and 2004 had a crush on Emma Watson at some point. And like, I do think this is an interesting thing. I think this shows how cinema has progressed. And maybe it was because she was still a child, but I still think that like Hermione was never sexualized. And I think in terms of looking at the 2 moments from both works, you compare Slave Leia in Return of the Jedi to Hermione walking down the steps in Goblet of Fire in the pink dress. I think that shows real growth in terms of how we depict female characters when they're supposed to be like romantic or like there's because that was the first time she really showed a sexual side of herself, but it was never sexual. It was always kind of like romantic and sweet and innocent. That was a very formative shot.
Yeah, but it was also these kids like growing up too, like on.
It was their
our
prom
screen.
night.
It was their prom, and it ended just as wonderful as all proms do, with them crying on the steps. I didn't get my prom because of COVID, so I can't, I can't. I don't have that memory. But yeah, so I got, and then I read the books, of course, and then it was the Deathly Hallows Part 2 premiere, and it was on my dad's birthday. And like July 15, 2011, like it was his birthday at midnight. We sang him happy birthday at the seat right after a woman got arrested because she didn't have a ticket and tried to see the movie without one. And the police came to the theater. It was a very interesting, fun night.
Happy birthday to your dad.
Yes. But yeah,
Awesome.
so it was July 15th. And this is about to get sad, but I promise I don't mean it to be sad. It's a very happy memory. But like, so my parents got divorced shortly after. So like, that was like the last like communal thing we all did together as a family. So it's very like Harry Potter. The same way that like Endgame came right around the end of like my high school before like getting ready to go to college. Like Deathly Hallows was like the end of my family, so it was very sweet.
Wow.
Yes, very. It's just Marvel, and I will make you sad. That is the Antony. But yeah, I mean, there's so many memories and so many different moments. I've talked about enough of them. I feel like with the rest of you. Favorite book is Deathly Hallows. Favorite movie goes back and forth between Deathly Hallows Together and Prisoner of Azkaban. And yeah, I for one, I love this story, and I do love the childhood perspective. It's kind of similar to what I think I love about Stranger Things, is because they're kids and it's
Not
fun.
anymore.
Well, yeah, not anymore. But like that's why, like in Stranger Things, at the end of the 3rd season, when they're singing the never-ending story thing, and then like everybody got a little upset. It's like, oh, this is so ridiculous. But I'm like, it should be. They're kids. Like that's what we love about this. And I think there's, especially because everything's so serious and the brand. Like I like when we can have fun with our fun things, and I think that's what Harry Potter will forever have. Like every movie, Harry walks into an environment and he just like mouth again, like he's just like enchanted by the magic. And I think that's what's really special. And these are the first movies that I think I really loved and like got excited for. So they also have that part of it. Any last comments on Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, and our very...
That's a turf. Goodbye.
So yes, thank you for tuning in. We're very happy that you've chosen to listen in. Make sure to subscribe and follow us at all our social media platforms in order to stay in the loop. I'm sure we have a couple more episodes this season. We'll probably conclude with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, probably
Sure.
when we wrap up for this season. So make sure to follow us. We're thankful for you guys tuning in thus far this season, tuning in for our Batman review, which we had a lot of fun doing. And yeah, where can everybody follow you guys?
Oh,
if you would
on
like
Twitter.
them to follow you.
Yes, I'm on Twitter. We'll put it in the description. We should do that.
Twitter. I feel like we just do Twitter things.
Kyle, anywhere? You want to give them your address?
Yeah, are we just doing at names now? At Kyle J Selby anywhere. It's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn.
Letterbox? Got a letterbox?
Yeah, I do. I got everything.
Do you have a Pottermore?
Yeah. Okay, wait, hold on. Before we leave, I wanted to ask what people. Yeah, because I just did this the other day, and
in preparation of this episode.
I can't believe we didn't go over this. Does everybody know their house and like their patron?
Yes.
Okay.
Slytherin for Natalia.
Absolutely not.
Oh. I got excited for a second.
I feel like, Constance, are you a Hufflepuff?
I am, but I took the official test and it says I'm a Ravenclaw, and I'm like, no, I know I'm a Hufflepuff. I know that's where I belong. So if the Sorting Hat was on me, I would be sitting there going, Hufflepuff.
I am also a Hufflepuff.
See, I've taken the test and it gives me a different answer every time. I think because I take it at different places of my life. So like I've gotten Hufflepuff, I've gotten Ravenclaw, I've gotten the tie of Gryffindor and Slytherin. Like I've gotten the Harry Potter. So I'm just gonna say Gryffindor because I think that's the one. Because like I don't think I'm smart enough for Hufflepuff, and I think I'm too kind of like sarcastic to be in Hufflepuff. I think I'm too smart to be in. I'm not smart enough to be in Ravenclaw.
That's it.
There we go. I'm not smart enough to be in Ravenclaw. I'm too sarcastic to be in Hufflepuff, and I'm not mean enough to be in Slytherin. So I'm gonna go Gryffindor.
So it's just process of elimination, or do you actually have Gryffindor qualities?
I think. Hey, I took
the glasses.
I suggested we talk this topic, so there's some bravery in talking about something I love and actually asking myself, should I like it? There's some bravery in asking that question.
That's fair.
And I did the mass council, and I won it. That shows bravery. I sang in front of people I've never met in person.
You are so brave.
Down to Evermore. When you did that, I was like, this is over. Let's just stop now.
Oh, yeah. Lord. Kyle, are you Slytherin?
Yes, and
big Slytherin energy here.
That made sense to me. Well, here's the thing, because I also have a conflicting. Because I did go to. I went to, I think it was the Warner Brothers like studios tour. I went there a couple years ago, and they have like a little Sorting Hat kind of setup thing where you go and sit down, and like the guy puts the Sorting Hat on you. And I believe that I was Hufflepuff. So I had thought that for a long time, and I had identified as a Hufflepuff since then. And then I just took the official Pottermore test the other day, and I got Slytherin. And I was like, okay, I think that makes a little more sense. Yeah. What about the Patronus? I think I got a hyena.
Oh, I can't.
I don't know. I'm going to have to redo it.
Oh, I took that test too. Oh my gosh. My sister's going to kill me for forgetting. I did do the Patronus thing, but I don't remember. I'll have to tell you guys next time.
Yeah.
Look it up.
Stay
tuned.
My sister will remember. I just have to ask her.
Kyle, this is me at the Warner Brothers lot like 6 years ago.
Yeah, I did that too. Yeah. Oh my God, you're so small.
In a Road One shirt.
Wow.
Superior film.
Yeah.
Right.
So
okay,
yeah. You can. By the way, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram and Letterboxd at Antony_post, and on YouTube at my YouTube channel, where I'm going to be doing a Wizarding World ranked video when I see the new one, which basically should be Harry Potter ranked and then Fantastic Beasts ranked, because I have
in order of appearance.
I have yet to meet somebody who puts any of the Fantastic Beasts movies higher than their lowest Harry Potter movie. If that's you, let us know in the comments.
Interesting.
So yeah, thank you everyone, and mischief managed. Bye all.
Bye.